Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is JT with Legacy Art Games, and we are back with more tabletop campaigns. And for those of you wondering, because there has been a question or two, no, I have not abandoned doing single player regular PC games that are suited for the disabled and chronically ill gamer community. I will be getting right back on those soon. But I've really enjoyed having a break doing these tabletop campaigns. I hope some of you out there have been enjoying them. In fact, a few of you have been kind enough to say so, which I appreciate. And I hope if you do happen to be a housebound person or someone who just can't get out to have a very social hobby, well, maybe you can find one through these games and the examples that the videos show. So with that said, tonight we are back to the Yawning Portal with GM Tang, and I'm going to let
Oh,
him
can
do
you hear
the
me okay?
session summary coming up now. I'm sorry, GM. I was just saying a little something before we started. I can hear you just fine, and it's all yours.
Excellent. All right. Well, picking back where we left off, it seems that Belak has escaped the clutches of the city guards. And it seemed the mayor had a confrontation with you earlier. Last time, he came all the way to the Winter Woods to confront you, uh, Kavan and your crew. And it seemed they were after you based on the disappearance of Belak. He absconded from his prison cell, nowhere to be found. And during that confrontation, you managed to not only scare them away, but you also managed to, it looks like, heal Sharwin and Sir Bradford of their mortal disease, um, or almost fatal disease, I should say. Uh, it seems that the Gulthias tree no longer has a hold over them. And with that encounter, that careful manipulation of the weave, you've managed to create, well, this pact between gods, Eldath, the goddess of peace, and your own, Selune. Uh, and, well, I think we pick back here after you've rested the night and Dorian has rejoined you. Pulling with him a disgruntled, looks like here, blacksmith, a dwarf by the name of Rorik, who seems busy tending to his supplies. Um, Also in camp are some friends you made earlier in this journey. A goblin by the name of Kremak, as well as Meepo, who seem to have come during the night uh, as they heard that there was something going on in town. Uh, with all of the people that you've managed to help in some way here in front of you, um, I guess this is my out of character moment to ask you, who do you wish to continue journeying with? Uh,
Oh
as I
wow.
guess Sheldon poses you the question.
Oh
The
wow.
visions that you see from your god, she asks you to follow someone. Which one of us would you take?
Oh wow, putting me on the spot.
It is up to you entirely.
Wow. Thinking here.
I should say, too, that I should tell you where you're going. As you wake up in the morning with a map at your feet. And it is the map of a place far, far north of here, almost close to the spine of the world.
And actually, I wish I had remembered to tell you this before the session. I never did fix character mancer so that it would let me level up. Um, it's still not doing it.
Ah, level 5?
Yeah, I'm stuck at 3.
Let me see what I can do here. Character Mancer can be definitely finicky here. I'm going to go ahead and hop in here and see if I
Sure.
can't help.
And let's see.
Ah,
While you're doing that, I'm thinking I know who Kremak and what was his name? You just said it.
Meepo.
Meepo, yes. Kremak and Meepo, I know who they are. Um, uh, but the blacksmith, is this someone I've dealt with?
This is the blacksmith in town. Um, you actually recognize him as the one of the dwarves that you saw actually inside the shop from a distance, kind of grumpy and almost shooing Dorian out of the store at one point during his haggling.
Ah, all right, all right. So this is not one of my party selection choices.
Uh, uh, we'll say no. Simply because uh he has more of a quest for you here.
Okay. Out of curiosity, does Meepo have his white wormling, or did he never find it?
He's actually here to talk to you about that. As you see him
Oh,
across the way from the camp, it seems that he has some urgent business to discuss with you.
oh wow. Well, maybe I'll find out what they're all up to, and then I'll pick who goes where.
You see him across the camp, speaking to Kremak, hashing out some kind of agreement. They seem to be taking their hands, creating shapes, and also talking quite furiously over something. So I am looking at it here. Character Mancer is actually disabled for custom classes, so this will have to be a manual level up. Um, yep. So while we get working on that, um, let me go ahead and search up a couple guides so we can get you leveled up. Level 5 means, I believe, an extra attack. Oh, sure. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I was just discussing something off the air with GM Tang, technical issues. So Kavan is waking up from, well, sleeping, and sleeping is something he ordinarily does not do, but it seems that using the deific power that Selune has given him, even if it's just a tiny speck of it, took everything he had in order to cure Sharwin and Sir Bradford, as well as the werewolves in the area. And as he's sitting up and looking about from this rather unfamiliar experience, he would call it disturbing if he were speaking of it. Um, he looks around and sees many familiar faces, some of which he had never expected to see again. And he draws his hood up, as is his habit, and he inquires, "What's going on? Why are so many of you here?"
You see the gathered group here, and it does indeed include many of the similar familiar faces that you've encountered during your time up here past Neverwinter. When you start speaking, Meepo immediately catches your eye, and you can be seen from across the camp saying, "Oh, hey, you're awake!" And the kobold beastmaster comes over to you and simply asks, "You wouldn't mind coming down to the Citadel again, would you? We've got another quest for you here. Um, just a small one. If you could possibly find our, or at least break her out of this room that she stuffed her in, maybe it might be easier to form some kind of peace. The goblins never captured her completely, and there's still a chance that we could recover her. Um, if we could, it would really help peace negotiations."
Well, uh, Meepo, I don't quite understand. I assume you mean your wormling, but who's taken her and where?
She was trapped in one of the trophy rooms of the keep. Um, and we tried breaking her out, us and the goblins, but she ended up getting some of us. The goblins aren't too happy now, and well, if we can't get her back, it might be difficult for us to, you know, barter with the goblins.
Well, that's understandable. Well, what was it that? Well, actually, I should say, evidently you were able to reach her. She ate some of the goblins, but uh, is I'm not certain what it is that I can do. You are more the dragon handler than I.
We actually just need you to speak with her. It's kind of a complicated situation. Um, when I tried to intervene last time, I and he takes his hand to his side and he starts rubbing it, and you can see there's a good bit of scale missing on his left arm, and it seems almost like blackened in like this purplish reddish kind of color. And he continues and he says, "Well, I got a little bit frostbitten. Uh, I just I just want to know if she'll even come back, and if not, then well, there's no point keeping her there. Set her free."
Well, that's a very noble point of view. She may be avoiding you because, well, you kept her in a pit.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But just really hope to at least make peace with her. Apologize for even trying to capture her before.
Well, I sup well, that's a difficult choice. There is well, let's just say a very bad person. The man who was with the tree. We brought him back with us, and well, he's escaped, and he's trying to do something very dangerous. So we're following his trail, you see. But well, if this is very important to you, and the journey should not take long, then I suppose I could return with you. I would not claim to be the best negotiator that you might choose.
Nonsense! I heard about what you did here. It seems like you helped a bunch of people who were kind of lost. Well, at least that's what Gravalas here says. Isn't that right? And he hails Gravalas from a distance, who seems to still be tending to the area here, as well as the newcomers. He kind of in a spastic panic as well, as this is the first time I think he's seen this many visitors to his grandmother's grove.
Kavan coughs lightly at that, and he just shakes his head quickly. Uh, uh, it is true that people here were helped, but I merely made the request, and it was, it was my goddess who did much of the work, that and the Lady Eldoth. Uh, Nevertheless, I did promise when I was in the Citadel to look for your dragon, and now that you've found it, I suppose I should make the time to help you either return with it or make peace with it and set it free. And so I will return for that.
Meepo looks at you ecstatic and he says, "Well, wonderful! Uh, well, it's just a hop and a skip away. Who did you maybe else want to bring?"
Well, let's unfamiliar face, or rather faces I didn't expect to see around any longer. He says, looking between Grablocks and the goblin as well, and he finally says, Sheldon, why don't you come along? You might be able to look at the state of the grove down there while we are paying a visit.
Sheldon accepts and he says, "Oh, good. It's about time I went back there. I have a very particular appointment with a tree, I believe."
Yes, that you should. I saw one sprouting right out of the earth as we left, as last time I do believe. And
Yes, it seemed like something straight out of the books that I've read. Straight out of history.
well, a moment in history, thanks to you. But I believe Lady Eldoth rewarded your efforts, and at the same time, may have given that grove a new chance. And who better to look after it than you? And Kavan pulls himself up off of the ground, commenting under his breath mostly, sleep is extremely disturbing.
Tell me, what visions have you seen?
It's not so much the visions. I don't believe I had any. It is normal that you don't remember your dreams at times, is it not? But it's the sensation of just going into nothingness and then returning hours later. It's very different from the trance.
Hmm. You've sure got the hang of sleeping, that's alright. I wonder what sort of dreams your god will give you in these dark times.
Well, if she finds the time to personally give me any at all, I will consider myself fortunate. I'm often told humans dream of older experiences in their lives, and well, there are quite a few I should not like to revisit. But that's a story for another time. For the moment, Meepo has found his wormling down in the Sunless Citadel, and he has asked if we would go and speak with her, hopefully convince her to make peace with him and the goblins, and in turn it might help the two tribes have their own peace.
A dragon wormling. A baby dragon. No doubt formidable on its own. Do you think we're all enough to take it on?
Well, hopefully, we will not need to take it on at all. But yes, if you recall, when we first met Meepo, he had lost his dragonling that he was raising.
Yes, I do remember.
Yes, it's in the keep, and they know where it is. But it ate apparently a couple of the goblins, and this has caused some tensions between the two tribes. So if we can convince her to return peacefully, that might mend things a bit, or else Meepo is willing to let her go free rather than keep her.
A plan with many backups. This is quite like you. I do have one recommendation, though.
Yes?
If we are to take on or speak to a dragon, we should show it a good measure of force, even if we do not intend to use it. I recommend our bugbear friend, if she is, well, admittable to it.
And a GM question, isn't it that I can only pick two of them?
So this is Meepo's quest, so he's not so much in the party so much as like a quest giver.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, you still have your two to pick.
Okay, and Bugbear's name I'm not remembering because she's not on the sheet thing, the list.
Oh man, I should put a list down somewhere. But her name is Broma.
Broma, that's right. Okay, Kavan nods his head and he inquires, Broma, would you be willing to make a short trip back down to the Citadel? Actually, I would imagine you're staying there anyway to protect your people. And, well, it might help to at least back this wormling down a bit if she were to see that we were not entirely without strength.
You see the bugbear standing there, sort of solemnly, as she kind of gazes over the crowd here. She stays on the edge of camp, recognizing wary eyes looking at her. When you come up to her and say those words, Brahma is immediately taken aback a bit and says, "You want me? Why me? A dragon? Well, I guess. Well, if anything, just to finish what our tribe started. If I can speak to it, I, well, you probably shouldn't. If I do get mad at it, though, and if it attacks, I won't hold back. I'll just let you know."
Oh, well, of course. The hope is that she does not attack. Either Meepo can make peace with her and she returns with him, or he wishes to set her free. We hope not to have a fight, and we hope that just by being there, you'll convince her not to take that option.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm prepared for both. If I don't say anything, though, don't look at me. If I do, it'll be bloody murder.
Sounds convincing already, bro, as usual. Kavan nods his head approvingly, and as he turns around for a moment, he makes a face that shows he's dreading this already. And then he turns back and says, Sheldon, actually, we will bring Broma with us. She's agreed and promised that if there's an issue with the wormling, she will slay it. And but we're hoping for Meepo's options first, of course.
Um, as you prepare to head out, or as I guess you are finishing your talk with Broma, the dwarf comes over to you and addresses you, and he says, "Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to be Kavan, would you? Heard a lot about your deeds. Figured, well, why not add another one to your list of accomplishments?"
Kavan cocks an eyebrow and he says, I am not in search of fame, but well, if the townspeople have a need, I would be pleased to help.
Oh, it's not for the townspeople. Look, ever since you always pulled that stunt here, they've, uh, they've kind of shutted us out of town. Us, non-humans. It's a bit rough, but, I'll make it. Never had much sympathy and for that, sleepy town. Figured, might as well hit the road. Especially what with the weather and all. You know what they say, if winter comes back, especially up in these parts, well, you better get moving. It ain't gonna get better. Now, for certain. Well, I do have a little bit of a lead to follow. Um, last time they came around, saw some adventurers head over to your way, to the Citadel. When they came back, they showed me a case. Or at least a case lid. It seemed of dwarven make. Something that might interest me. When I took a look at it, I pointed to one thing only. Have you heard of Kundraka?
Kundraka, no, I'm not familiar with the word.
It was, I believe, redoubt set in the mountains north of here. Well, a far ways north of here. And what they found there was the remains of a smithy, a dwarven one. One famed and legend mythicized to be able to, well, forge adamantine.
Ah, that would be quite a fine new home for you. I can understand why you would wish to investigate.
Well, I guess the kicker is all reports of Kundraka are that they were swarmed, buried deep in the mountain, locked under stone gates, piled up with orc corpses. They were attacked. Nothing else has been heard of them. If you could somehow find any information when you head back there, it'd be much appreciated. I
Of
believe
course.
if there's a map or some kind of missive, I'd very much like to read it.
Of course, and well, if the corpses were piled up outside of the doors, at least you know the attackers didn't get in. Question is, why haven't they opened the doors since?
I ask myself that same question every night as I dream about what could have been.
Hmm.
The orcs are not particularly, well, merciful up there. I believe it was the tribe of many arrows.
Hmm.
They must have done some kind of work there.
Well, we can hope that they were largely trapped outside of the doors. The tribe, well, they didn't manage to outpace your dwarven cousins in their closing of the entrance. Uh, on the other hand, there could have been something else in the depths with them. It's difficult to say. Uh, I will I will travel north after I finish my business at the Citadel and see what I can see.
Thank you. It's would help me much, especially after being run out of town.
Y-
Well,
yes,
who's to say?
yes, and it's nonsense that they did run you out of town. I believe you were not a new resident, and you had no business here, no relation to elves. So I cannot understand why they would run a dwarf out of town.
Well, bugger them. They don't know what they're missing.
Yes.
In fact, what when you come back, I might have something for you. Your your friend over there spent a lot of time haggling with me. And let's just say, well, the lighter my load and the heavier my pockets. Well, you know what I mean. I'm looking to get rid of some armor.
Oh, well, that could be of use. Well, I will pray for the safety of your people. No doubt that it is not the orcs which trouble them, and they're probably used to dealing with them, which is why they knew to shut the doorway so swiftly. I'll just have to find out what's kept them from opening it. I wouldn't worry overly much as yet.
And he nods and bids you good day as he goes back to tending his supplies. And as you see him do that, you see him lug just two giant chests, all maybe worth uh, two or three people's worth of weight with him. And as he begins to unpack a little, you see just these mountains of of armors and reinforcement that he seems to be carrying with him. This is no novice blacksmith. This is someone who's very nearly an expert.
Kavan looks at this display and he comments lowly to Sheldon, maybe I should be asking him to come along rather than Broma.
As uh, as Sheldon stands by your side, he says, "Hmm, it seems we've gathered quite a ragtag crew. Everyone seems to have a strength and a weakness, maybe. I certainly have one.
Well,
Well,
as do we all. Uh, uh, Gravelox, would you mind allowing my friend here, and he gestures toward Blacksmith, to stay in your grove for a time? He was driven out of town as a result of, well, what happened here. All of the non-humans were.
um, at that request, Grovelas carrying just maybe a whole bundle of twigs for the campfires comes over to you and says, I guess I've never seen these many people up here and up these parts. If they'll at least behave, then they'll all manage. I can't say anything about defense, though. If those town guard come back, which I hope they don't, uh, well, you should warn them about my appearance when agitated.
Well, considering the company you have now, if they come back, I would pity them more than you. And that said, I will warn them if I should see them on the road. For the now, for the moment, I'm going to go back down to the Sunless Citadel. Should be a short trip, so I'm told, and then I will return briefly before leaving again. And hopefully, in the course of that, I might clear at least one needy soul from your grove.
Much appreciated. I do say this: if you're headed north, I wish you luck. The winter is going to be snaking its head up again soon, and if that's the case, well, maybe pack warmly.
It's wise advice, and at the very least, well, the further north we go, the closer we are to Icewind Dale, and well, they're slightly more accustomed to my kind there than they are here, so that may make things easier. But
Huh. You
something,
always see the silver lining in things, don't you?
well, one must try in this life. We've heard some rumors that well, Dwarven City may have been attacked, or at least an attempted attack by an orc tribe. It sounds as though they may have killed the orcs and simply shut the doors, but they have not reopened. And so I will be going north after I finish my business at the Citadel to hopefully find out what it is well, why it is that they are not reopening the gates.
Hmm. Seems like a plan. I'll wait your arrival back here to camp. Until then, good luck. And again, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank Selune and Eldoth, not I. I merely made the request. It was they who answered. Uh, but nevertheless, you are welcome. And Kavan seems severely unaccustomed to being thanked, much less saying you're welcome. But he appreciates the gesture and grants a nod of his head.
And if it is indeed the work of these goddesses, I will make sure we utter their names during our prayer here.
Oh, well, I would appreciate that very much, and I'm sure they would as well. Uh, Lady Selune and Lady Eldoth apparently have shown their favor to this grove and to your people.
It does seem like that is the case, and to that I'm eternally grateful. I do not know where I would be without their help.
Well, Meepo, Broma, Sheldon, I suppose we should head down to the Sunless Citadel and see what the situation is with the wormling. Meepo says it's only a short journey. And by the way, Meepo, you didn't mention the wormling's name.
As you start heading to the eastern exit of the woodlands here, Meepo uh, tells you the name. He says, "Oh yes, our name, Calcrix. That is her name."
Ah, yes, Caltrix. You didn't tell me yourself, but someone did. Well, yeah, we'll go and see what we can do for Caltrix, and we'll bring Broma along just to show her a bit of strength. It might give her pause about biting anyone else, and Sheldon will be coming along too.
Um, as you make your way east and north, you take a route through the woods that cuts through, uh, or past, I should say, uh, Oakhurst. Uh,
Um,
Sensing probably it to be a good idea to avoid town for the time being, um, you make your way. The time it takes is only about 5 hours.
GM, I should warn you, I cannot see except two little lines.
I have put you here in another area. You find yourselves taking the trek down, climbing the rope, going down the steep ledge before you reach the Sunless Citadel. And as you climb the courtyard once more, the city reveals itself to you in all of its inner workings. You go past wooden doors, um, back into the area here with a uh, set of three goblins who are still laying there dead. Um, and in this tower, uh, you find yourself once again in the Sunless Citadel, uh, with all of its musk and earthy smells surrounding you. Do you see yourself at the bottom right?
No, the map is still black. I was seeing my token for a moment.
You might have to scroll around. I know
I
that much.
I'm zoomed all the way out, and no. but it might be a vision thing. Maybe my dark vision isn't on.
Ah, looks
Now I
like your
see my
token.
token.
Yes, it looks like your token was not enabled. I am just turning it on.
Okay, and once I move the token, I can see where I am. We're good.
Excellent. Walking back into the tower here, the very first tower you encountered when you walked into the Sunless Citadel, something is different. It seems that there has been movement throughout this area. Go ahead and give me a survival check.
All right, and thank you for fixing my sheet, by the way.
Oh, you are good. Excellent. 15 is plenty. You start tracing the tracks of what looks like not only to be a set of dragon prints, uh, these scaly, uh, I would say, blue pieces of dried up scales are kind of left in the trail here. I want to say right on the western edge of this room. You pick up on those footprints and scales. You also sense something heavy has gone through here. Some of the tiles here, made out of stone and ceramic, have looks like just been cracked ever so slightly by the weight of something you imagine to be 500 to 600 pounds. So you sense two trails: the trail of something big, as well as the trail of something dragon.
They seem to be two different things, though, very distinctly.
Yes.
Uh, Meepo, which direction is it to? Well, Caltrix.
And as Meepo makes his own check here, um, he senses the same thing you do. However, I think he is able a little bit more to tell you which direction it went as he goes into this room up to the north to double check. Uh, he was able to determine. He comes back down and sees very clearly. They're headed south. It can't be good. There's usually a door here. And as he goes over to this southwestern door, he looks back to you as if motioning to it and suggesting him to open it.
Well,
Well, should we follow where it goes?
yes, but Broma, you might be the wisest to go first.
Of course. And as Broma goes up to this door and smacks it a couple times with like a yes, simple door. Easy open. And she knocks it open and reveals a short hallway leading to a door going to the west. When she steps inside, she says, smell something. Something dead. You smell that too?
Just thinking there. Smell something dead. How dead?
And she gives it a couple more sniffs. Long dead.
Well, in that case, you might wish me to go first. Stay back just slightly. And with that, Kavan moves toward the doorway and just takes a step through.
You step over the threshold of the room into what feels like a magic aura. Something changes as you step over, and it feels like it's coming from the southwest. Emanating from that point, you feel these vibrations in the air.
Hmm. Vibrations in the air. Kavan steps up to the door and he leans closer to it as if trying to hear as he places a gloved hand upon it without pushing it in any way. Seems he's just trying to get an idea as to whether or not he can perceive anything on the other side other than this strange sensation.
You press your hands to the door, and you sense that indeed there are vibrations coming from the other room, almost as if they were musical in nature as well. When you come up to this door, you see a fantastically wrought door in metal relief. You see cast in bronze this sight of a dragon breathing fire over what looks like to be a orb of some sort.
Ah, the former Lord of the Citadel, I would imagine, Kavan mutters to himself as he looks the door over. And he looks over to his companions as well and says, well, I don't know what to make of this. I am no mage, but, well, there is something in here. Uh, does the door appear to be locked?
The door actually looks like it doesn't even have a handle. This almost looks, it's very clearly a door. However, it also just looks like a wall. Um,
Hmm.
where a handle would be, you instead see just, well, more door. Um,
And,
it's clearly an opening into another room. However, it seems to be hidden by this sculpture.
hmm. Kavan asks Meepo, have you ever seen doors like this in the Citadel? You've lived here longer than I. Or you, Broma, for that matter.
Broma says, I've never gone up here to explore. These are ancient tombs for Ashardalan, and do not temper with the dead. And as she says that, Meepo comes up to the door and sort of tries to divine what may be happening here. Um, he is not the best at this. So when he ends up looking through this relief picture, it seems, well, it seems like he's missing something. And as he sits there stumped, he says, "Hmm, if I didn't know better, I'd say this door was magic."
It seems to be. I can feel the magic through it. It even makes the door shake, but, well, I see no way to open it. It's as if it's just another part of the wall. And
Hmm.
Kavan puts his hand on it, and seeing as he didn't apply any force prior, he tries a little push to see if it budges at all.
You make a push, and you softly kind of nudge the door in case it were somehow unlatched and open, and simply required the willingness to uh, open it ajar. But nothing happens. Instead, the sculpture on the face of the door warps and changes now to a dragon without fire breathing. Instead, it changes to the mouth of a dragon facing directly eastward. And as it does, something causes it to say something. It says, We come at night without being fetched. We disappear by day without being stolen. What are we? And the dragon sculpture settles back and motionless.
Ah, it must require a command word to open an answer to the riddle. Uh, we come by day but are not fetched. We leave by night. Do not sleep. Hmm. Well, Sheldon, any thoughts? Or rather, any of you, really?
The words seem to suggest something that comes at night. Hmm. We're at the moon, maybe.
Well, yes, Kavan feels a bit foolish for not thinking of that himself, given who he serves. He looks to the statue and he answers the moon.
And as you say the word moon, another reply from the dragon's mouth is issued. And it says, no. And it rests back in its stony gaze.
Kavan sinks back upon the heels of his boots as he just grabs a piece of his long hair and rubs it between his fingers. He seems to really be thinking this one through. We wait by day but are not fetched. What was the proper wording? I'm terrible at riddles. I truly am.
As you wait a while and continue pressing against the door, once again, you're around the riddle. And it says again, we come at night without being fetched. We disappear by day without being stolen. What are we?
Kavan listens to the message again, and after thinking for a moment with his eyes closed, he says, "Stars."
And as you say the word stars, the dragon says very quickly, yes. And then you can hear the crackling of the stone form as it ships back into the form of a dragon spitting fire across an orb. And right around waist level, a knob appears and unhinges and makes a click, and the door depresses and goes inward, making a
Kavan is drawing his blades already, one of which is now Sir Bradford's old sword. And he comments aside to his companions as the door opens that that was a lucky guess. Don't rely on it. And he peers into the room as much as he can without actually entering first.
Looking inside to this room, it seems strange. You hear a hissing noise as the puff of dust finishes settling around a door, indicating that it has fully set and opened. In front of you is a chamber that has likely been sealed for ages. Dust, long undisturbed, covers every surface in this large gallery, and the air here is stale. It reeks of hundreds of years of no disturbances. To the north, you see three alcoves. One of each seems to hold an orb, although each one seems in its own way cracked and broken. However, to the south, there is but one alcove, and in it rests a glowing, humming orb twinkling with this blue light, as well as musical notes.
Hmm. Kavan warily steps through the door, advising his companions, take care, there's some sort of magic at work. I'm not familiar with it.
Um, Sensing some kind of danger, Meepo covers his eyes as he walks into the room, and he says,
Ah, I won't look at it. Maybe it'll blind you if you look at it.
and with one hand over his eyes, he starts to move his way into the room with his other hand stretched out. Back, uh, Broma and Sheldon seem to watch as you two make your way into the room, thinking to themselves, probably, uh, what sort of shenanigans are going on? Broma says,
Hmm, this is strange. That orb, what does it do? Tell me before I enter.
and you hear Sheldon say, I do not like this, not one bit.
Kavan contemplates this and he says, I've never seen the like. Sheldon, are you able to discern what sort of magic is upon this orb? Perhaps your lady favors you with a spell.
Sheldon racks his brain for a moment, contorting it, almost thinking different thoughts. And as he comes up with a spell, he says, this might help. And he creates a ball of energy as he starts whispering, Elveth, guide me with your light. Show me what is not seen. And he casts Detect Magic. As the ball of light expands in his hand, it grows to fill about the size of the room. And suddenly his eyes glow with this blue light. And as he looks around, he senses that there is something coming from this orb. I believe he senses something that gives him concern. His eyebrows furrow, and as he looks deep into the orb itself, you can see him contorting his eyes and him almost sensing something dangerous. And he says, it's music. It's music is creating some kind of... and at that moment, his concentration breaks as something seems to take over him. As he gets close to the orb, suddenly something in his demeanor changes. You see this sense of urgency take over his eyes, and he rushes past you. Go ahead and give me a dex save.
Okay. And
As Sheldon maddeningly tries to rush out of this room past you, almost running you over. Wow, fantastic. You catch Sheldon right across the arms, almost clotheslining him, and you manage to get his body kind of positioned against yours, and you can see his mind is thousands of miles away as he says, I must run! I must leave! I must go! Let go of me! He
Sheldon, calm down, Kavan advises him. I don't know what you saw in the orb, but it is still just an orb. Nothing else is here.
Oh, no. Please, let me go. And go ahead and give me an athletics check as Sheldon tries to wrench himself from you. you are able to hold him directly in place without being able to budge. And he says, "No, release me! Release me!"
Kavan is rather small, and this is testing his strength just to hold Sheldon back, but he says to him again in a firm but in his way calming voice, but you know I am not going to let you run in a panic through the Sunless Citadel of all places. What are you worried about? What so frightens you?
And as you hold him there and you try to speak reason to him, you see the glaze over his eyes wash away. They turn from this kind of light blue into this, well, more natural brown that he usually has for his pupils. When he comes to, he says, "Oh, what happened? Something came over me. It told me to leave this place, to run away. I I lost control of myself."
Well, as to what happened, I do not know. You were looking upon the orb with the magic of the Lady Aldath, and the next thing I knew, I was requiring all my strength to stop you from running away, as you say. Um, I do not know what you saw, but that is in fact exactly what you said, that you had to run away.
Um, uh, you say that, and Sheldon looks concerned, and he remembers, and he turns around and he looks at the orb and he says, "This, this is the source of negative magic. It is what caused me to start running away from here. I say we destroy it before it causes harm to anyone else."
Hmm. Negative magic. Well, it did not directly harm you. It told you to run. Um, I wonder. I wonder what from.
Yes, but the way it sent me, I could feel it having no care for me. If there were a pit in my way, I would surely have fallen in. This orb is to detract invaders. We will get no further here if we do not destroy it in its place. And at that, he raises his warhammer and motions and moves towards the orb.
Sheldon, you don't know what will happen if you do that.
He takes a deep breath and he says, "You're right. I'm afraid my strike will not break it."
But Kavan shakes his head. That's not what I mean. If you were to break it, well, who's to say what sort of force would be unleashed? It could kill you. Uh, Something already seems to have broken these ones, and he gestures to the other side of the room. Why this one still exists, I do not know.
You make intelligent observation. However, something inside this orb, I know it to be evil. Something that takes over your mind. If we do
Well,
not break it, we should best avoid it.
And Kavan seems to be racking his own brain for a moment over this dilemma.
Be careful. Do not stand too close. As he kind of moves to the range that this orb seems to have its effect.
And Kavan shakes his head after a moment's thought. He explains, I have no magic which might tell us any more about this than you were able to learn. But, well, destroying it we might be able to do. Um, Rather than I should say perhaps Broma. Your scythe, with your strength, could possibly shatter it without you needing to stand too closely.
Oh, excuse me. I have a sneeze built up
No,
here.
no problem.
um, Broma looks over to the situation that seems to be transpiring, and with kind of two quick plugs, she digs into her. She sticks into her ears these little plugs of cotton that she seems to have been ripping from her pack. And as she does, she says, in a somewhat loud voice, even louder than she usually speaks, she says, "I heard you. I'm coming." And she steps over the threshold, charging this orb with cotton stuffed ears, and she goes ahead and makes an attack.
Hmm. Well, before Kavan can do anything at all, Broma is directly past him, and all he can do is watch. He had intended for her to, well, perhaps stand a bit further back, but there's no stopping Broma.
Uh, that's a pretty accurate statement. And when she charges you, the orb past you and Sheldon, she's bringing her sickle bladed glaive across in this deadly arc, and almost even just kind of takes some hairs off of Sheldon as he quickly ducks down. But she brings it full down on this crystal ball. When it hits, it smashes the outer exterior of this orb, creating just a branching spider web pattern across the orb. Um, and in that moment, the faint flicker of that blue light abruptly stops, flickers once more, and simply dissipates. In its place is a nullified orb that no longer seems to emit any kind of sound or light.
Well, that's one way of solving the problem. I'll hope it wasn't important. But what could it be guarding, I wonder? Broma, you said these were tombs for the dragon. A Shardalong.
Broma does a sniff once again, and you can hear almost the wind being sucked out of this room into her, well, rather large chest area. And I don't mean that in a in a derogatory way. I very much mean that she seems to be just inhaling large volumes of air, and you hear her say,
No, it is no dragon. Something. Something dead.
Hmm. Well, there's only one thing to do then, and Kavan walks across the room now that the orb is gone to the opposite side. And is he able to discern a door, or is it another one like the one before it?
um, coming upon the door, it seems to be, well, not quite like the one that you reached before. In fact, this one seems to be, hmm, almost as if uh, the store was a simple stone door. Nothing on this door, actually. Uh, I believe it can simply be opened.
Well, all of you be ready. We'll find out what was so important to protect, I suppose. And with his blades in hand, Kavan puts his knuckles upon the door and nudges it open.
Um, as you go to the door, go ahead and give me a perception check. You are able to smell something as soon as you make your way to the door. And it smells like, well, not quite death, but smells something very close to it. It cautions you against opening the door instinctually. And as you go for it, you can hear rumbling on the other side. Your hand is on the door, right about to open it. What do you do?
Rumbling on the other side, as in, is it like what was felt before we came into this room, or?
Oh no, this rather seems like the movement of something large.
Well, in that case, Kavan would probably linger for a moment, and uh, assuming it's dark, he would nudge the door open just a bit more to see if he can peer into the gloom and hopefully pierce the darkness, assuming there is, with his eyes. Get some idea of what might be in there.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a combination stealth. Actually, just go ahead and give me a stealth while I take your 18 in perception here. And I'll see if you can maybe open this door just a crack without alerting something on the other side. Um, well, with a 9, I don't think it's going to cut it. As you open the door briefly to get a better idea of what's on the other side, you can hear it coming, and it is angry. The door in front of you all of a sudden gets smashed closed, um, and at that, a giant rumble hits against the door, and you see dust kind of falling from the ceiling. Um, it
Hmm.
seems there is something large on the other side of this door trying to break through.
Kavan takes a step back and he comments, I have no idea what is in there. It was a bit swifter than I. But it's one way or another, it's going to come to us. I would suggest you ready yourselves.
Um, as you stand there, waiting for the next movements of this thing, you hear distant footsteps, uh, and then maybe 30 feet away to the west, you hear something else. You hear
Hmm.
and go ahead and give me a nature check.
Ooh. Wondering what this is, viewers. World's worst ranger.
something something truly large rests on the other side of that door, and it is angry. I think you can tell that it is some kind of beast by its very nature, yet you're not quite sure what kind of beast.
Meepo uh, was Caltrix this large, or maybe I should say this loud?
Shivering a bit in his boots, Meepo replies and says, "I did- no, Calcrix is just like you or me, a medium-sized wormling. Oh, what was that?"
That I do not know. Does it look like the door is holding?
It does. It also seems like the door hasn't received another hit, so it might be the case that whatever's on the other side has left for now.
Hmm. Kavan decides to give it another try. He steps forward with care because he's well aware if it has any kind of intelligence, it might just be waiting for him to, open the door again. And once again, he tries to very slowly do exactly that.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a stealth check. This time, you have a lot more success getting to this door. As you slowly curve your hand around the door opening, you push it open gently. And as you do, you're treated with this, well, just enormous smell of something quite rotten almost. It smells like something had been wet and slimy and sort of just living in its own juices and flavorings. Uh, it smells like some kind of troll.
Troll. Kavan is, of course, familiar with trolls somewhat, being that some rangers do hunt them quite specifically, but he himself is not among them, and he wonders why would there be a troll here and trapped in this room unless it's dead. It would explain the smell.
You are able to see into the next room, and you see clearly on the ground these tracks that indicate the passage of some large creature. The smell overwhelms you as it has been kind of steeped in this tiny hallway. And to the west, you see a door that is slightly ajar, that looks like it's headed into another room. But as soon as you open this door, you hear something from that room. And it doesn't sound like a troll. Instead, it sounds something like something else. And you can hear it, and it makes a sound. And if you didn't know better, that sounds like a dragon to you.
Now that causes Kavan to tilt his head quite a bit more as he favors the hallway with his ear. Uh, Meepo, are you sure that Caltrix is not that large or that loud?
No, Calcrick is a baby. Whatever's in that room, well, it might be attacking her. We should go.
Well, it was here, Meepo, and it must have been watching the door. And, well, it sounds to me like a dragon. Did a Shardalon have hatchlings of her own?
Meepo looks at you and says, "No, not that I know of." And as you continue talking, you hear this sound as if it's just giant pieces of wood on stone, and it reverberates across this entire chamber, making this thunk sound. Um,
Hmm. Well, there's only one way to resolve this mystery. If you all wish to stay here, I would most certainly understand. I'll try and go forth quietly and see what can be seen.
Broma takes her position at the door in front of Meepo, and Sheldon takes a position right there next to the door as well. And he says, "If you need backup, just yell for help or scream for it."
Screaming may well be the case, Sheldon. It certainly does not sound pleasant. But I wouldn't suggest fighting it in this hallway. It's much too narrow. Uh, which may work to my disadvantage if this goes horribly wrong. Kavan creeps past the door that he's managed to open, and step by step, he begins working his way down the hall.
You do so as both Broma to the north and Sheldon to the south put their backs against the western wall and hold their respective weapons and armor and equipment to their chests. When you make your way to the west side of this room, it sounds like there's pacing going on to the left, as if there are two creatures in the next room walking, um, possibly uh, engaged in some sort of combat or display. When you come upon this door, it is, well, for all intents and purposes, nearly broken off its hinges.
Kavan decides that at this point there's really no way that he could avoid the attention of whatever these things may be. They were aware of him the first time, and now he's opening a door that's even closer to him. So he merely does his best to open it only as much as is necessary to determine what's happening and hopefully not draw their attention.
Sure, you crack the door just a smidge, and when you do, you're able to see into the room, or at least partially. And you see, well, two things occupying this room. To the southwest, you see a troll who seems to be clutching its side. And to the north, you see a statue with a white dragon wormling underneath it, kind of reared up on its back legs and hissing towards the south.
Kavan seems to realize suddenly what's going on. In his head, he's thinking, the troll must have found Caltrix first and ran, and now it's been trapped in here along with it. It's trying to devour the wormling.
And just as you realize what is going on, another slam against the western wall occurs as the troll smacks its club into the left side here. The club itself seems to be the leg of some kind of statue, some kind of stone statue. It must have broken off. And as it does, it makes this unearthly roar and engages you in combat. As the entire chamber shakes, dust falls and lands, you can see, on top of the statue that Calcrix is seemingly hiding under. But it is your turn. You are first in the initiative order.
Hold on just a second. We had a brief disconnect there with OBS, but I think we're okay. All right. Kavan is going to let me think here for a moment. Well, all he can really do at the moment is hold Sir Bradford's sword and his scimitar and quickly take, well, quite a few steps back. I'm assuming 5 foot squares.
Yes, these are all 5 feet squares.
He moves all the way back out into the room with the orbs, and he says, "Back away, raging troll." And Kavan leaves it at that, assuming that's enough to explain the situation.
You walk back, backpedal into the room, and explain it. Meepo looks at you and says, "Is Calcrix in there?"
Yes, it looks like Caltrix must have left after you did, and, well, the troll found her, and it seems it chased Caltrix into this room.
Broma looks at you quickly and says, "Should we help it?"
Well, yes, I expected it to chase me, though. It seemed very angry to see me. Probably because it thinks I'm challenging it for food.
And then Sheldon takes his turn to say, "Should we wait for it then?"
It might be wise, but we won't wait too long for Caltrix's sake, but why don't two of us stand to one side of the door and two to the other so that it cannot see us?
And as you take that formation, I believe it is Calcrix's turn. On its turn, the white dragon wormling makes this screech as it attempts to, well, in this case, successfully call upon its cold breath. In the other room, you can hear this scattering of wind and icy cold as you hear as a blast of frozen air is issued forth from its mouth. And I guess from your point of view, you can see ice and snowflakes kind of burst into the room. And the troll manages to dodge out of it. You hear the grunting of the troll as it makes a and takes only half of the brunt of this, well, deadly frost breath. On its turn, Broma looks over to you and says, "Should we go in now?"
Kavan nods his head as the remainder of the frost flies through the doorway. He says, Caltrix seems to be putting up a worthy fight, but, well, the troll, it'll just keep regenerating from the wounds he inflicts unless we help him to get ahead of it. I suppose we have no choice.
Brahma nods and rushes in. And when she goes in, you can hear her charge and say, "Die, troll!" Making an attack against the troll, you can hear the sickening, just slashing sound happening from the other room. And it almost just sounds like as she manages to catch this troll right in its midsection.
I was just thinking, was that an error? Because, wow, that was a lot of dice. I've got the animated dice on.
that is possibly, oh wow. I believe that is max damage for her on the 22.
Wow.
And
okay.
then the other one was a kind of middling. But that is not enough to take down the troll, as you can hear the troll retort with a on that note, Brahma is finished with her turn, and the Dragon Priest begins its. Again, slapping the side of this small chamber, the Dragon Priest makes a and more stone falls here, it is actually going to make a strength check. It does not seem super concerned with its own health as it is doing this. And rocks begin falling in this area. Calcrix and Broma must dodge out of the way. Let's see how they do. As stones start scattering across this whole room from the breaking and collapsing walls and ceiling, Calcrix manages to dodge out of the way, as well as Broma. As dust begins to fill the room, a dragon priest makes its attack. Or sorry, the troll makes its attack. It sinks its teeth into Broma, dealing 7 points of damage. And you can hear from the other room the bugbear cry out in pain as it says, "Argh! Argh!" With that, the troll finishes its turn as it heals up some of its injuries.
Forgive me, I'm just thinking here.
You are good. It is the start of your turn after that cry out from Broma.
Kavan is going to, well, let's see. Wait, you've given me kind of a puzzling one here. Kavan is going to round the corner quickly, noting that is our signal, so to speak. And he moves down the hall at a quickened pace, as he always does when he first engages in combat. And he finds himself, facing Broma's back. And with that being the case, he can't quite reach the troll, but he does cast a Hunter's Mark upon it. I don't think I actually needed to roll that, but
yeah, I believe that is the roll for damage, but Hunter's Mark itself is a spell, correct?
right. It's supposed to do 1d6 extra with each attack.
As you lay the ranger spell on top of the troll, you see this bright red mark appear on its forehead, a mark that I believe only you and your allies can see.
And that is a bonus action. I'm wondering if I can get anything past Broma, or does she just entirely block the way?
It's not so much that she blocks the way; it's that I don't believe your weapons have reach, so you wouldn't be able to attack through her.
Right.
What this is looking like is maybe you might be able to get a ranged attack through, as this troll stands about 5 feet or 4 feet over Broma's maximum height.
Thinking on that, well, Kavan very quickly sheathes his swords, and instead he reaches for his longbow, which is actually a bit of a stranger in his hands. He doesn't use it very often, but he finds one of the arrows he has stashed away, nocks it, and as soon as he's certain of his steady aim, he looses a shot.
Go ahead and roll. The arrow sails in the air for a brief moment with a. It finds purchase. The dragon priest looks to its right arm as it begins bleeding. Sorry, I keep saying the dragon priest, the troll, and it says, as if angered once again. Dealing, it looks like here 12 points of damage, correct? With the Hunter's Mark applied.
Sorry, Roll20 was being a little flashy there to me. I have to roll a 1d6. So it's 1 extra.
Gotcha. 7 points of damage.
He says, Broma, I am not exactly as skillful with a bow as I am with my blades. You might wish to move aside.
Broma says,
Do not back down.
And with that...
Don't back down, Broma. Step aside.
Broma seems resistant to the idea of moving after engaging. But we'll see what happens come her turn. Sheldon starts mobilizing now, and from the back yells out, "Do you need help there?"
We may in a moment, Sheldon. It's some manner of troll with the wormling, and it's quite infuriated.
And as he attacks through the door, I believe he has a direct line of sight on the troll. When he raises his hands, you can hear him whisper, "Guide this light!" As he casts Guiding Bolt onto the troll. A bolt of radiant energy pierces the top of the chamber, strikes down, and hits the troll against its abdomen, dealing 15 points of damage. As it doubles over in pain, you can hear it making this low growl once again, but labored as it sounds. And Sheldon backs one square back as he is frightened by the presence of this large beast. On his turn, Meepo looks over and sees from the back his opportunity maybe to strike. He takes out a sling, begins waving it over his head with a woof, woof, woof. And as he throws a rock downwind, that's +2, and I believe also with advantage. Oh wow, he hits. Dealing a solid 5 points of damage to this thing. The rock skips off of its forehead and out into the room. And at this, the troll looks, I think from your point of view, somewhat woozy, as it seems to have been somewhat confused, or at least almost taken down by this rock. On its turn, Calcrick senses that help has arrived. It is still going to rear up and try its best attack. As it struggles to get out of breath, it makes this unable to breathe out an icy breath. It takes a step back and hides behind this red statue of a dragon in the room. On its turn, Broma yells,
"Down, you beast! I've taken on worse."
Swings her sickle-bladed glaive and misses. She scrapes against the troll's hide, and the troll just with barely a movement shrugs it off and beats the handle of the sickle-bladed glaive off to the side, and it makes this roar as it powers up its arms, ready to attack Broma. On its turn, the troll bites Broma and swings at her twice, missing the bite, missing also the claw, but hitting with the second as it makes a. It deals 7 points of slashing damage again to Broma as she cries out again this time. Ah! Ah! At that, it is your turn. After the troll finishes attack, you can see some of its wounds start to suture themselves, and it returns with this fervor, ready to keep fighting.
And at this point, Kavan is, well, he's very worried for Broma, who may well lose herself in the heat of the battle. Can he maybe slip by her to the northwest a little bit?
Yes, he can.
All right, he'll slip past her, and what he's going to try is, as he draws his scimitar in his offhand, he draws Shatter Spike, Sir Bradford's sword, in his main hand, and he's going to try first to strike the troll's makeshift club rather than the troll itself, and he'll follow up that attack with a scimitar to the troll.
Excellent.
And
Go ahead and roll to attack the club.
I just had to enter Shatter Spike's info. I hope I did it correctly.
I believe you might have added one extra, but that is well within a hit.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
You're fine. We don't have to fix it now, but even then, a 26 still hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
Oh, wait, that's not the right thing I should have clicked.
And yeah, it does look like you had that extra one mod there as well. So 11 points of damage is still very good. The 11 points.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. The 11 strikes against the against this makeshift club, the stone club, and it shatters it completely. Knowing the Shatter Spike's property here, I believe it scores a critical hit. You're welcome to roll damage, but 11 was enough to break it.
I will take your word for it.
As the stones go flying across the arena here, you see the troll look up to you as if ready to attack you this time for breaking its shiny, or I guess dusty toy. With your second attack, go ahead.
All right. And I've adjusted things downward here in case I was one up.
The scimitar looks correct. 19 hits. Dealing 13 points of damage. Wow. Okay. I really want to give this to you here. Describe to me this attack, and let's see how it goes.
Well, Kavan manages to step around Broma, who is an immovable wall at the moment. And as he thinks back on Sir Bradford's sword and what he's learned about it, he wonders if he might use it to his advantage in this situation. So, as he slips around and has, well, a moment of opportunity here, considering the troll's attention is upon the bugbear, he readies Sir Bradford's blade. And the moment the troll brings the makeshift club up to strike Broma again, he swings the longsword down and strikes the bone with something of a ringing sound. And in that moment, the bone club shatters into 1,000 splinters and scatter across the floor. And in the moment where the troll might be perhaps a bit confused or dazed, he lunges forward and plunges his scimitar right into the center of its chest.
It pierces the chest. The troll makes this hacking as it comes down to one knee, ready to expire. But you, recognizing the troll's healing factor, able to keep it standing, know that the fight is not quite over. As you finish your second attack, retracting your scimitar, the wound itself begins to suture and heal, and the troll comes down to one knee and begins to breathe heavily, not quite vanquished.
Kavan yells out, "Don't let up the attack yet. It's almost finished."
On Sheldon's turn, he yells and says, "What can I do?" And I believe he looks in his pack, searching for some manner of way to perhaps stop this troll from healing through the damage. And instead, he produces, I believe, a small piece of iron from his book. And as he holds it, I believe he attempts to cast it. When he does, he says, "Goddess, let me bind this monstrosity." And as he does, he casts this enchantment spell towards the troll. The troll is not quite affected by this spell. When it finishes, you can see the troll seems to have difficulty standing, but it seems it has only given the troll disadvantage on strength saving throws. It seems hold person was meant for targets smaller than the troll. "I've bound it!" As you hear Sheldon yell. Although that may be dubious in terms of effect. Meepo takes his turn. And Meepo has this look in his eye as he leaps into action here. He digs through his pack, searching for something that might harm this troll. And you see, instead of producing something that might stop the troll from healing, he produces some kind of large fabric, bounded in many layers and layers of string and taut rope, as he throws a net at the troll. With an 8, well, at this point, the troll is suffering from a few different sources of being bound. That 20 is going to hit. The net encompasses the troll and forces it down into the ground. You can hear Meepo celebrate with a celebratory, "Yeah, yeep!" As he backs up a step. Calcrix, on her turn, takes a moment to consider the situation. This time charging up once more, but perhaps not really ready to use it. Again, it makes a sound as it clears its throat, but it rushes forward, emboldened by your actions, making a bite attack at the troll. With a 15, that is going to hit. As he bites into the troll takes the last points of damage to make it fall past its knees and into the ground. As it lays on the ground there, possibly dying, Brahma speaks up and says,
Kill it!
bringing her sigil bladed scythe once more down on it. 22 hits, but the troll is still on the ground. Possibly still bleeding, but also possibly ready to get up at the next moment. Indeed, on its turn, you see movement as its shoulders bend, press against the ground with its arms. It rises to its feet once again. This time ready to bite the next thing that comes towards it. Go ahead, Kavan. This troll seems much hardier than any enemy you faced to the moment.
And has it broken free seemingly of everything that was binding it?
No, it still has the net on it.
All right. Kavan is trying to think quickly on his feet here, and he flips around his scimitar to tuck it away and reaches around within its cloak for his sachet, and from it he produces a torch. And he holds the torch close to the floor, which he strikes with his sword, hoping to quickly light it by way of the sparks.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me a dexterity check as you quickly try to makeshift light this torch.
Oh, that was a save, not a check. Oops.
What I could do is I could take that minus your proficiency, or you can just roll a dexterity check. 20 will do it. You bring your sword down onto the ground, and you create sparks. And as you do, you don't see anything happen at first. But then the torch suddenly catches, and you can see fabric starting to turn black, and suddenly the torch is lit.
And with that, Kavan wastes no time. He takes the torch up and, well, as if it were his scimitar, he strikes at it, rather at the troll with it.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a dexterity check here, and we'll add +3 to that. Oof.
Oh, man.
The 12 is not going to hit. As you start, actually, that should be with advantage because it is restrained. So go ahead and give me another dexterity check.
Oh, okay.
With so I would have taken that 17, I think, if that 9 wasn't rolled. But I think just having a reroll also works here. The 17 hits. Actually the 20. Go ahead and roll a d4 for damage as the fire burns and singes itself into the troll's skin. It takes 2 points of fire damage, and at that, you can see suddenly the troll looking pallid and fearful, and it emits this like low growl that sounds like successfully turning something off on its skin. Sheldon, from the back, yells, "It's not going down!"
Fire, Sheldon, if you have any.
And he, well, hearing fire, he thinks of the only thing he could probably do at this point. And to that, he casts a sacred flame. A radiant ball of flame appears over the troll's face and singes its eyes, dealing 2 points of damage to it. Sheldon yells back, "I tried my best!" And as Meepo comes in, this time with its sling once again, says, "We've almost got it!" It manages to land a rock straight onto the troll's hide, dealing this time 6 points of damage, taking it from conscious to unconscious. Meepo celebratorily makes a yip yip, and the troll falls to the ground. Similarly lifeless. But yet, until its turn starts, I don't believe it succumbs just quite yet. Calcrix makes a roar as if declaring victory with a and Broma takes this opportunity to gloat as well, but also sticking her scythe once again into the troll. Making a hit. Troll is now cut and battered and bruised, frozen in all parts of its body. That when you see the last signs of life begin to twitch, it's almost as if to raise its hand to make a claw attack straight across the netting, covering it. Instead, it succumbs and makes one final death knell of a roar that sounds like and it grows silent and cold and dead.
Kavan takes a deep breath and exhales slowly. As at last the troll seems to lie truthfully still. Nevertheless, not wishing to take any chances, he wields Sir Bradford's sword as he steps over the body, levels the blade, and tries to cleave the head clean from the body.
You bring Shatterspike right across the troll's head. And as you do, you lop it off with one quick motion. And as the rest of your party looks over, you can see Sheldon kind of breathing heavily. A troll! I've only heard about these in books.
As I said, I'd heard about them from those I trained, and or rather, who trained me, and well, for once I'm glad I listened. Fire and acid, I remembered. Fire and acid.
Yes, its hide is something quite special. They're made of tougher stuff than you and I. Meepo, good thinking with that net. Far more useful than my spells, it seems.
Well done by all, although I must say, and Kavan peers over his shoulder at Meepo, I am, I should offer you my apologies. I'm impressed. And with that, he steps aside to reveal Caltrix to him.
And as you do, you see Meepo's eyes go wide. But also at the same time, from behind you, you can hear the you hear the distinct low growl of a dragon who's being very testy with its current company. And from beyond the door, you can hear Meepo say, "Calcrix, we saved you, buddy. Are you okay?" And in a low guttural, you can hear Calcrix say, "I did not need your savings. However, I appreciate you looking for me." This is all in Draconic, as you hear them kind of go back and forth. It does seem like that Calcrix, just with its body language, seems to be more receptive of Meepo this time around. Meepo makes his way kind of towards Calcrix very slowly and deliberately, holding out his hands making sure not to show any signs of a threat. Um, and as he does, you see him kind of make this low growl, um, but it does not seem like Calcrix is having it. Um, Instead, Calcrix seems to retreat, actually, back to the protective, looks like your shadow of the red dragon statue in this room. Um, and it puts like a wing over its head, uh, as if protecting it from whatever else may happen to it.
Kavan has absolutely no idea what may have just transpired between the two. He speaks a few languages, but Draconic isn't among them. Even so, he realizes, well, maybe the torch is a threat. This is a dragon of ice, after all. And he tosses the torch over his shoulder to land upon the troll's body, or it will be useful anyway. And he lifts his free hand while sheathing Shatterspike to show that he means no harm. And he speaks in a low voice, very calmly. We do not mean to corner you. We were brought here by Meepo to try and find you, well, and as we realize the troll is here to aid you in your fight. And he's very careful to say, or rather to emphasize, to aid in the fight rather than to rescue.
Um, as you speak and get out your message, Meepo attempts to move closer. Um, and Broma steps to your side, and setting aside its scythe, it extends a clawed or sharp nailed hand towards Calcrix, and it speaks. Well, it begins to speak Draconic. The bugbear in front of you begins to speak, and it says,
Mm, you see, Meepo simply wishes to see that you are okay. And the elf also wishes to express respect and well wishes.
and at that, a couple more exchanges of Draconic um, go between the white dragon wormling and the bugbear. The bugbear, now apparently able to speak in its language, starts to form some kind of parley with Calcrix. Um, and in return, Broma says,
"Hmm, this dragon thanks you, but it wishes to leave this place. It does not belong in captivity, whether by humans, elves, or kobolds. That is its one wish, to be freed. That, or to be left alone for all eternity inside this tomb."
And Kavan can only utilize them as translators, as he himself is apparently not able to communicate with the dragon. He he relays, why would you wish to remain in a tomb for all eternity? I should imagine as you grow older, it would not even be large enough to hold you.
um, Broma translates this to Calcrix, uh, and Calcrix replies with a quick few snaps of its teeth and um, somewhat angered, but also more annoyed, uh, Draconic. Uh, and Broma replies,
Hmm, it does not like your asking of these questions. but it replies. It says, "This is the ancient homeland of its ancestors. It feels comfortable here, knowing that one day it can move down deeper into the dark. It will eventually leave this place, but not before it establishes its authority. And if it does not stay, it wishes to go find a place of its own."
He furrows his brow slightly at this, and Kavan asks, well, either of them, was a Chardalon a white dragon, as with Calcrix? Do you know?
Meepo answers that very quickly. He says,
No, a Chardalon was a red dragon, one of the reddest.
Well, yes, that's true. So why does Calcrix believe that this is its homeland?
um, and from the back, Sheldon can be heard. "Uh, well, you know what they say. Better the devil you know."
Hmm. Hmm. Well, Kavan is well, Kavan is a bit at a loss. He is not a negotiator. Until he met Sheldon and Florian, he essentially did not talk to people. But now he's talking to dragons, and he tries to, again, very slowly, very respectfully explain. Uh, Meepo has come far to find you. He respects you very much. He cares for you very much. For some days, and he had me assist him in looking for you. And it was only after I left that he learned where you were. If you were to return with him, you might stop many people from dying, people who are important to him. They would respect your presence, uh, your strength of presence. And beyond that, what you would do is of your own decision. Meepo has said that even though he kept you, even though he attempted to train you, he would sooner let you go if you are not happy in his companionship.
As Broma takes a deep, deep, deep breath to translate or attempt to translate all of that, um, Meepo can be seen kind of offering a few things to Calcrix. As he reaches into his pack, he pulls out a couple jade statues, and he lines three of them onto the ground in front of Calcrix. And as he sets them onto the ground, you can see Calcrix kind of cocking its head to the left and suddenly taking a liking to what he sees. And as Broma finishes, or what she sees, and as Broma finishes her translation, Calcrix can be heard retorting with a Brahma says,
Hmm. It seems Calcrix is willing to stay as long as she is worshipped, paid tributes of shiny gemstones and coin. A true dragon, she says.
Kavan didn't exactly receive the answer he was hoping for with that. It's a step forward, but not quite what he was looking for, as he would be trading one evil for the other. A druid that's been corrupted for a dragon ruling over them instead. And he inquires, what if Meepo, after you helped him to make peace between the two tribes, What if Meepo were to travel with you to the surface, and from there, well, you might find greater riches? Uh, the deep darkness is where I hail from myself, and it's no kind place to the young.
Brahma translate this, and the reply from Calcrick seems to be a similar kind of. Brahma replies and says,
She asks, what kinds of riches can you promise her on the surface?
I promise nothing, Kavan replies, but I can offer you the opportunity. You see, Meepo, well, he might well be traveling with me when I leave this place. If you were the only one, or rather, if he is the only one that you respect among his tribes, well, they could grow jealous of him, and that would not be good for his well-being. You might have an opportunity to travel with us, and well, where we're going, there's like to be treasure, and it's a dwarven hall.
at this, Calcrick's cocks his head once again, um, and Broma finishes the translation, and it seems to change its demeanor, um, and it makes a. Broma translates and says,
It seems Calcrix may be willing to travel for a while. She says, there are no treasures to be found here. They've all been taken.
And well, where did this come from, Calcrix? And he gestures toward the troll.
um, Calcrix replies as Broma finishes the translation, and Broma says,
Hmm. She says it came from west, in the tomb far to the west,
Tomb.
with traps and hidden statues. It hid out here until it could no longer. It opened tomb seeking treasure, but it found this troll instead.
Hmm. Well, the way out is clear, at least into the hall. What lies beyond there, I do not know. If you wish to follow Calcrix, well, I believe Meepo should very much enjoy having you at his side again. And this time there will be no pit.
um, as you mentioned the no pit, Broma is able to kind of sweeten the deal in her interpretation. Um, her draconic isn't the best, but she is going to roll with advantage here. And to that, Calcrix seems, well, not quite happy, but convinced. When she replies, Broma interprets and says,
She seems eager to leave. She seems wanting to see the surface. She does not know how long she will stay, but she says if there is more treasure to be found there, she may leave the dark forever. Hmm. You can always trust a dragon's greed.
So it seems. This is, in fact, well, I should say, you are, in fact, the first dragon I have ever met, and it is an impressive first example. You put up a remarkable fight, I must say. Uh, Kavan is very careful to lavish Calcrix with praise. He doesn't know whether or not it understands common, but he's trying his best even so. And as he's turning toward the door and starting to walk through, he mutters to Meepo, "This is your job now, and I would thank you to tell me whether Calcrix is a he or a she. Thank you."
Meepo picks up something by Calcrix's feet as she allows him to get close once again. Um, and he returns and he says, Thank you. I don't think I could have done that without you. I think she saw in you, and maybe all of us, well, some kind of strength that might help her. I know she doesn't want to stay here, and I know that she isn't exactly happy with me taking care of her. But, well, I think she might have dreams of her own, you know? She might want to leave this place, the dark, forever. And, well, she told me to give you this. Um, as a thank you. She says it's not that shiny, so it doesn't really help her. And he hands you what looks to be a scroll case made out of bronze and wood.
And Kavan doesn't seem to have been expecting a gift, especially from a dragon, so he accepts, and very carefully uh, he puts his thumb over the top and starts to pull the case open to see what's inside.
Inside, you see this almost disintegrated message. The scroll seems to have stood the test of time, although its writing, not so much. Um, with a quick look over, this is something of dwarven make. And as Sheldon looks over, he says, "Ah, it seems you found some sort of dwarven treasure or relic."
And it so happens I read Dwarven, actually. Lived among them for a short while, although I'm hesitant to even touch this paper. And Kavan puts the case on the ground as he kneels, and he tries to very carefully lift the scroll out without causing it to fall apart, basically.
You do so with the care of maybe the museum caretaker. And as you do, you can see that this parchment has just been racked by the ages. Water damage seems to have destroyed most of it, but a few short messages in dwarven runes remain. In Dwarvish, you read, "The remaining few, by order of Durgandon the Black, we have created a secret dwarven redoubt. None shall find us in Kundrakar."
Kundrakar, that's the name the blacksmith spoke. They've created a secret redoubt in Kundrakar. I had no idea dwarves once owned this citadel or lingered here at all in any form. You ever heard of this, Meepo or Broma?
Both of them look at you kind of blank faced, saying, "Uh, I do not know this Kundrakar. Uh, I don't speak Dwarvish, but it sounds like a nice place."
Well, yes, but I mean, it, me, well, he's trying to think of a way to explain it that they'll understand. Uh, Calcrix has a dwarven scroll, I must assume, that she found here, but it's saying that they have gone to Kundrakar. Did dwarves ever live here?
Hmm. Maybe in ages past, dwarves passed through,
Hmm.
but what's much more likely is a message sent, well, on the roads in the surface. Uh, and this message didn't quite get to its destination. Um, I can probably safely say you could too, Broma. that this was stolen or ransacked by one of the goblin assaults.
It's possible. Would have been a very recent message, I would think, but this paper is very old. Well, perhaps they were bringing it back to the dwarven city from some sort of relic. I don't know. And Kavan very carefully winds the scroll back together so that he can put it into its case, and he stashes it away in his pack. He's very careful to put it somewhere that it won't get jostled much. And at that, he asks Meepo, will Calcrix be following your lead for the moment?
Meepo nods his head and says, Calcrick says she'll come with us. I told her about our camp. Not many humans. She seems happy about that. She says if she can see the surface, maybe she can find a place for her own. And if not, well, she'll certainly try. And, well, probably it's the easiest way for her to amass a measure of wealth.
Yeah, well, Meepo, as bravely as you faced the troll for her, I had thought she might wish to travel with you. But then you did leave her the decision, as you should have. And Kavan sort of drops the suggestion as he turns around to move back to the east. And he's trusting his point is made as he leaves Kobold behind and hopefully Calcrix to follow.
As you leave, you see Meepo able to get once again close to Calcrix and offer her a bit of meat from his pack as she takes the meat out of Meepo's hands and kind of chomps down on it and kind of rears its head back to kind of swallow the whole piece. You can hear it kind of like making this chewing sound and this kind of like held in burp. And it seems that for the moment, the two are getting along as former uh, dragon wrangler and wranglee. And, well, it seems you've concluded at least this portion of the Sunless Citadel that you have come back to, it looks like, and resolved. Well, Sheldon, behind you, you hear him say,
No, traveling with the dragon. That is not how I thought I would end this day.
Nor I, and I question whether we can sustain it for long. Meepo may have to part ways, or Meepo may have to part ways with us. The dragon will only grow, and anyone who sees it will be alarmed.
There's much to be alarmed in the company we keep. But I think a dragon is up there. If we can somehow hide it from the rest, or maybe give them their own space, it'd be curious to see how a dragon gets raised, how it grows and matures. Are all dragons the same? Or is this one different?
Well, to answer that question, I would merely indicate myself, Kavan says with a smile as he continues on to the east. And he says once again, if it does not wish to travel with Meepo, well, then we will just have to find a suitable home.
That sounds about right. But suitable homes seem to be few and far between these days. I wish the best for all of them, even as we journey into the unknown.
And is the rest of this area actually unfamiliar to us?
I believe it is. You are one room from going back to the tower here that you've been to. So if you are finished with your business here, um, we can go back to camp.
Yes, and very carefully at that. He does not want the townspeople to see a dragon um, coming anywhere near town.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, I think, I think just seeing your face and maybe some of your associates' faces would set them off anyways. But this is
A
this,
dragon approaching a village, it never turns out well.
these things tend to not go well. You are correct. Um, the rest of the day is spent hoofing it back to camp, and you arrive possibly, oh, I want to say around nightfall. Um, from a distance, you arrive and see what looks to be a camp that hasn't been disturbed since you last left. Sharwin and Sir Bradford, um, seemingly looking like they are making their preparations to leave, however. Um, when they see you come back, they see you and your company in tow. And Sharwin says, "You've done it. Something I don't think I ever could have seen coming. But then again, I was a tree but a night ago. Tell me, does your goddess produce miracles like that all the time?"
Well, this was. Do you mean to say, as in your healing, or with respect to our new companion?
Hmm, maybe both. But most importantly, my condition. I thought I was gone for. So
Ah,
did Sir Bradford.
that. Well, to her most powerful priest, she does grant many means of healing, but, well, last night was something of a different matter. She does not do that every day, no.
Hmm. I can't imagine our town appreciating much of this. If that's the case, I'm afraid you might not be welcome. Persona non grata. Sir Bradford, do you remember what we said? And Sir Bradford looks over to Sharwin and then to you, Kavan, and he says, Kavan, it seems we owe our lives to you. Here, we've collected something, hopefully to help you on your journey, wherever it takes you. Um, and he gives you a pouch, which seems to be full of gems and gold. Uh, and he says, "It's not much, but we collected from as many people from our family as we could, even some friends."
Kavan, per usual, would be giving all of this away, but this time around he doesn't have Florian to take it quite so eagerly. And so he's left with, well, a pouch of treasures in his hand. And then he thinks of what Sharwin just said, and he's reminded, Sir Bradford, actually, speaking of owing lives, and he reaches to one of his scabbards and produces a sword that Sir Bradford would no doubt recognize, offered hilt first. And he says, whatever enchantment lies upon this, well, I must assume it to be a familial blade, and you should have it. And I must say, I was fortunate to have it this day, as it saved our lives.
Shadow Spike doing it again. I'm glad. But why do you offer it to me? I'm half ready to give up my life of knighthood after what I've seen.
Well, why give it up? You've been given a second chance. You were condemned to death.
I suppose. A sword like Shatterspike you don't encounter every day. I wouldn't call it quite a family heirloom. It's more of a weapon I, well, came across in my travels.
Hmm.
A dwarf gifted it to me after winning a tournament. He told me, should you bring this much honor and respect to the blade, well, you're deserving of my finest creation. I guess the only thing I ever had going for me was my knack at swinging a blade. I guess I'll accept this then. It couldn't hurt. In case any, well, detractors get any funny ideas.
Well, I'm pleased that you will accept it back. It was not mine to begin with. I merely took it until we could be sure you were cured. I did not wish any harm to come to us or to you.
Hmm.
And he allows Sir Bradford to take Shatterspike back if he so wishes.
Sir Bradford palms Shatterstrike with the at the very center of its balance, and as he kind of picks it up and um, cracks it open to look at the blade, he smiles and he says, "Ah, as sharp as the day I met her." He closes the scabbard and puts it on his belt, and as he ties it around, he says to Sharwin,
Sharwin, are you going to tell... You going to tell Kavan of our plans for the city, or the town? Not much of a city here to begin with.
and Sharwin pipes up and says,
I know that things aren't great between you and the mayor. Some friction there, perhaps. But we are not like him. And certainly, we are not like my mother. We seek to improve circumstances for all peoples. And if that means taking them to task, then shall venture forth on that epic journey. If it takes only two of us, well, we'll know that it wasn't that hard to begin with.
Well, I would wish the two of you best wishes. I can only imagine what it is that you might be intending to go off to, but I had hoped you might return to the village. If for
Yes,
well,
we shall return to the village and make things better for people. Better for all peoples.
and she seems to hint at the mistreatment of the non-humans in Oakhurst.
yes, and I was just thinking, Sir Bradford, if you're beginning to feel the years on in your bones, well, a man of your noble bearing, with an accomplished blade at his side, would seem to be a fine mayor in the making.
You speak good wisdom, but it would require many years of stewardship for me to reach that level. I will
Hmm.
try my best, but I make no promises. I swing a blade mighty fine, but I sling words at a much worse rate. But I'll see what I can do.
Uh, You and I have similar lack of talent for words, but it's the meaningful ones that make the difference, I think. How are things here at camp?
Well, we're seeming to be ready to go off. It seems the rest of your crew might be wanting to talk to you.
Uh,
Something about traveling east or north, and maybe some leads about where Belak is going.
yes, my lady told us something about where he would be going. In fact, that I would be able to see his tracks, but I don't quite know where it was. I would have to get close to the town in order to see which way he went.
Um, and Sir Bradford says, "Oh, then I might be able to help you here. It seems they found no tracks leading out of the cells. My guess is that Belak changed into some kind of flight-bound animal, a bat or a raven."
Well, it could be so. My lady has told me that he intends to go somewhere underground, somewhere with a portal. It does not work at the moment, but Belak seeks to gain wisdom from it, and he must not be allowed to try. Uh, she says that, well, when I do find his tracks, I will see them, although only my eyes will do so. If he's flown off, well, that leaves me with quite a region to search.
Hmm. I would speak to them. They may know more. But for now, we must head off.
Well,
Thank you again.
of course, take care, both of you, and well, remain true to the people that you are. Do not allow yourselves to be led into believing you need to be anything more.
Um, and with that, Sharwin gives you a nod. Sir Bradford does as well. And they make their march westward back to town.
One one live's dilemma solved, Kavan says with a slow exhale of his breath. He didn't perhaps imagine that he would be leaving the grove without them as well. But
Um, Sheldon, I believe, speaks to you as you finish, and he says, "You always have a kind word for these people. I think you're better at choosing your words than you think."
well, I've heard many an unkind word spoken in my life. I assume I have, well, much time to be made up for. And
It,
after a pause, Kavan adds, it's not so much the words, it's the right words.
yes, the right words, but also the belief behind those words.
Mm,
It is, well, more than I can say. It is perhaps the belief itself that may help them more than the words. I know that when you first met me, well, that was certainly closer to the case.
Well, you're very kind to say so, Sheldon. But well, think of it this way. I believe in, well, a kind of benevolence that, well, most people don't believe Drow can have, and I believe that it resides within me. You thought that your days serving your goddess were over, and yet you showed faith, and you were the one to strike down the tree with her power. So perhaps there's something, well, better than we think within each of us. Something to
Hmm.
ponder.
Yes, something to meditate over, I'm sure.
Mm.
Um, and as you finish up your conversation, it seems you have people headed towards you. Um, as Gravelas and Dorian come up to you, um, you can hear Gravelas hail you and say, "Hi, did you find what you needed there?"
Yes, we did. Who we needed, actually, and don't be alarmed, it is a wormling, but it means no harm, no harm.
Oh, and as he notices to the west, you can hear Gravelas curse under his breath as he says, "Coralon's beard. This is madness. A dragon. Are we set up for this kind of thing?"
Well, don't worry, we'll be moving to the north swiftly. Actually, you might be able to tell me something. Perhaps we should go into the grove. I don't wish it to be seen by the townspeople.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
But first, we probably should discuss our findings. Dorian,
Well,
what did you say you
findings.
saw? Um, and Grovelas and Dorian kind of engage in this kind of back and forth where Dorian says, "Aye, I was looking around town before I left here. It seems I did manage to scout out some tracks. They were headed eastward, northeast. If anything, Belak could be stalking us in these woods right now. But, well, we soon found the answer to that." And he looks over to Grovelas, and Grovelas says, "Yes, I believe we found tracks leading out of the camp. Seems afterwards, after the ceremony, those nights ago, there seemed to have been a track of, well, I believe wolf prints headed northeast of here. We followed them around a mile or two out, and then they turned and disappeared. I think something's following us. And if it's Belak, he's done following us. He's on his way to this next wherever location he's going to."
Hmm. It seems the Smiths, well, the Smiths' mission may have to wait. I'll need to look at these tracks, and actually, perhaps he could help me with the other issue better than anyone. If I may pass.
And they say, "Sure, we'll take you to the tracks if you'd like."
Oh, the Smith first,
Ah,
actually.
then we will wait here until you're finished.
And does he have a token on the map, or shall I imagine him?
Rourke is right here with the
Oh, there he is.
plate apron over his chest. When you come over to him, he is uh, seemingly taking a piece of metal and bending it, trying to form it into some sort of plate armor. It's quite small, so it's maybe only about a couple inches by a couple inches. It looks like it's supposed to be some kind of attachment to a larger piece. When you come over, he says, "Hey, you're back then. Did you find what you're looking for?"
You won't believe it when you see it, I'm sure, Kavan says with a chuckle, but uh,
Try me.
uh, it's a wormling. Don't be alarmed, though, it's not the rampaging sort.
Oh, you couldn't have brought me a red one to help with my smithing.
There was a red one down there once, but well, quite a bit larger than this, I suspect. This one is white.
Hmm. Well, if I'll need some quick quenching, I'll know where to go.
Well, I wish I had your fortitude of spirit. I was, well, more than slightly worried for a moment. Uh, it's actually your dwarven knowledge, however, that I've come to consult.
Ah, I figured you weren't here for my smithy help. What do you have there?
Actually, I'm sure you could make me more than a few fine things, but for the moment, what I have is this. And Kavan produces the scroll case that was given to him by Calcrix, and he explains. This mentions the settlement, or should I say, what would dwarves call such a place? I know your language, yet I forget the words at times.
Ah, a redoubt or fortress.
Yes, redoubt. This mentions a redoubt, and it sounded like the name you mentioned. Uh, we thought perhaps one of the goblin raids might have simply taken it from a messenger, but the paper is far too old for that. And he opens the case and carefully, once again, unrolls the scroll before giving it to Rurik. To
And he
me,
says, quick, hand it over here. Quick, stoking the fire, and blow the fans already. Hmm.
of course, to my eyes, and I admit I've not lived with dwarves in many years, it says something of redoubt and not being found there.
Rorik eyes go wide as his eyebrows kind of uh, jump up like scared caterpillars. Um, when he grabs onto the scroll case, he says, dwarven make. Interesting. And as he starts digging through his pack, he takes out a similar matching bronze and wooden scroll lid. As he attached it to the case, he says, the missing part of the puzzle. Tell me, is that what I think is inside there? A message, perhaps?
Yes, I've already read it. Be careful, as I said with the paper. It's very, very old. We don't know where Calcirk's found it. Calcirk's being the wormling, but it was given to me as a gift for saving it. And as I said, to my eyes, it reads something about a redoubt and not being found there.
As he takes the scroll case and gingerly puts it onto the barrel lid to the left of you and to the right of him, he lays out the writing and begins taking a caliper as well as a monocle or at least a magnifying glass in one hand and looks through over this aged scroll. You can hear him mumbling to himself as he looks it over and he says, redoubt. Oh, what's this? The remaining few. Oh, Kundraka? Yes? By order of Durgandin. My, that is a name I have not whispered in many ages. Durgandin the Black. Huh. The stone's tooth? What's this? Huh. I believe. I believe this is it. By Moradin's. Oh, I shouldn't say. This seems like an answer to the questions I've asked myself this whole time. Kundraka exists, and not only does it exist, it was forged itself by Durgandin the Black, one of the best adamantine smiths of all time.
He forged an entire fortress out of adamantine.
Well, not to not to make us seem like, well, expert craftsmen, but maybe, at the very least, he forged a forge that could smith adamantine, and that in of itself, that that's an accomplishment. Hmm.
And a rarity. I've seen adamantine in Waterdeep, but well, needless to say, it would cost more than I've ever earned in my entire life.
Yes, and it'll last quite a few of your lifetimes. Hmm. Interesting. I have much to research and dig through, but if my calculations and, well, studies have been correct, this is but a few days' journey from here, maybe 6 or 7. And once we reach there, well, we'd be knocking on the door of someone with such smithing capabilities
I think Moradin himself would have been right to be jealous.
Well then, I would suggest perhaps you ready yourself for a journey. Whatever it is you're making, well, it might have to wait. Well, unless you'd rather finish it first.
Oh, this piece of scrap. This can wait. You trust me. However, I seem to have found something that might suit you. You're more of the light fighter, aren't you?
Well, yes. Being my size, one does have to be rather light on one's feet.
Speaking of adamantine, I don't quite have the technology to produce it, but I do have these studs of, well, scrap adamantine that I had lying around. I was able to affix them to this armor. If you'd like, I could take a quick second to show you what it looks like.
Well, that is most generous of you, though I know not what I've done to deserve such a treasure.
Well, let's call it even if you leave me this case. This is worth more to me than all the gold that town could scrounge up together for me.
Well, my friend, it would have been yours regardless. It seems to have been half yours to begin with. You had the lid.
Ah, a deal it is then. Here, let us engage in commerce, and let me show you what you might be missing out on. Um, and with that, you see this um, kind of black leather armor, kind of dyed to kind of fit more of a dark brown instead of a light brown leather. With it inset across its chest and along its back are these black greenish studs, and as they find themselves inset throughout the armor, they seem to be almost magically affixed, as if adamantine can't necessarily be sewn onto things, but it can be embedded as long as they are embedded deep and uh, with some level of uh, higher level forging that you may be unfamiliar with. Um, and you're looking at a +1 set of studded leather armor.
Kavan does indeed look impressed. These sort of things, while he may not be able to make them, are nevertheless the tools of his trade, and he knows quality when he sees it. Um, are you certain you wish to part with this for the scroll? I would not let you go wherever that scroll tells you to alone.
And he says, "Word is that the quarry you seek went to the northeast as well. Something tells me that we might be headed to the same place."
Well, perhaps so. Well, from what I know, it's something underground, and there's a portal of sorts. It's not working, but it could be made to do so, and that's something I seek to prevent. You ever,
Portal, you say?
yes,
Interesting.
you ever heard of such?
Um, and Rorik, after thinking for a bit, says, as he scratches his chin and strokes his beard, "Ask me again while we've taken a night on the road. I've many books about smithing and quenching adamantine. If this is what I think it is, then indeed, we may be seeking the same place.
Well,
Moradin has a portal to his forge, and there's no way he built that portal without the help of an expert in forging adamantine."
hmm. I was told that, well, it might open the way to a very different place than Moradin's realm, but, well, one can hope that you're right. Uh, well, For the night, perhaps all should rest, and, well, I will try on this armor that you have so kindly gifted me, and with assurances it will serve a good cause for so long as Selune sees fit to let me walk this land.
Hmm. Yes. Well, speaking of repayment, if you let me be your armorer and outfit this, well, ragtag crew, I'll be more than happy to gift it to you. Seeing as how ample work and a good word of my craft is always worth good money to me, if not the same.
You would intend to travel with, well, I don't mean offense to myself or my companions, but you would wish to travel with us. I would think your services and skills would be welcome anywhere.
Hmm. I'm not doing it just for the money. I've got a responsibility to my people to find out about Kundrakar. If not for me, then for my tribe. One day, I'll be able to go back to them and tell them what happened to Durgadin the Black. Regale them with tales of a hero among our people.
I see, and well, for the moment, we would welcome your companionship, but well, I was about to say that you should take care, but I would imagine if you wield a hammer as well in combat as you do at the forge, and how you've managed to set up a forge in the middle of a forest, I will never understand, then we will be just fine.
Hmm. Don't worry. I'll explain the process to you. And if it goes over your head, well, you'll be like everyone else who's not a dwarf.
I would imagine so. As I said, I have not lived among dwarves for many years, but, well, I found you to be a noble folk, if sometimes very difficult to comprehend.
And he says, the only thing you need to comprehend is the metal of our steel and the resilience of our labor. You know that? Well, you're halfway to understanding Moradin himself.
Well then, for now, I should take a look at these tracks, and then, well, I'll leave all to their rest.
Aye, again, thank you for what you've done.
Well,
And I'll see you on the road.
of course, and thank you, my friend, for the armor. It will serve me well.
Um, you see Rorik pack up a couple things, mostly his tools and his plates and unfinished pieces of armor. Instead, he takes to another chest. This one much smaller, but this one definitely less heavier and less clunky. When he opens it, instead of opening to a sight of gleaming metals and straps, instead you see him open this chest into the sight of many tomes, books that seem disheveled and kind of bound together by glue and leather. As he dusts off a tome, you see this giant dwarven rune on it, uh, and it seems to detail much of dwarven history. When he opens it and starts reading, um, you see that he has quite a bit to get through. Um, and as you head northeast, I believe, to check these tracks that were mentioned to you by Dorian and Gravelos, they accompany you. On the way there,
One second, please.
I don't actually have a battle map for this one, so this is just in the head.
Oh, no worries. I was giving us a little landmark here by giving Kavan a new look in his biography.
Sure. um,
Doing my dwarven friend justice.
um, I was gonna say, as you head up to the northeast, Dorian and Gravelas make mention of the difference these tracks had from others. They seem to have been actually rather well cloaked.
And Kavan is not so much looking for what they've seen as what he sees. As if it is indeed Belak, he's expecting the tracks to glow.
Um, and as some of them have been covered up entirely, and as the night grows deep, you see the twinkling of stars on the ground. Indeed, some of these tracks have been completely either obfuscated or covered by just natural weather. But some of them seem to glow with this bright, shining twinklingness. And soon you come upon um, a marshy area, and as you look past it, you see out of the mud, sorry, away from the mud, and closer to the tufts of tall grass, um, a trail open up. It seems a wolf passed through, and that wolf was Belak in his wolf form. These paw prints suddenly appear out of the tufts as you follow them, um, and as they grow more and more hurried, more distance between each, you see at the edge of one of these tufts, the trail goes cold.
Hmm.
Um, and
Eh,
above you, in a tree, you hear the sound of birds scatter as you get close.
And the glowing footprints just simply disappear.
Correct, headed due northeast.
Hmm. And did Kavan go alone, or was he followed?
I would say about 20 feet back are Dorian and Rurik. Not Rurik, Dorian and Gravalos, as they both look at you kind of quizzically. What do you say over there? They both ask you.
I see that you were right. Belak was here. But once the tracks reach this point, they simply vanish. Uh, well, my lady would not leave us a half hint. I should imagine perhaps he took to the air from here?
Makes sense. And as you look out across the area, it seems, and uh, as Gravalos gets on top of a small hill above the tufts of grass and the mud, he points out to the east and he says, if you look over there, it seems to be a forest. I can't imagine him wanting to trudge through that.
Yes, we're looking for something to the northeast. It would be, well, I don't know how far you've ranged, but it's a dwarven fortress. As I understand it, the doors would be closed, but they're no doubt impressive in themselves.
Ah, are you talking about the map that Rurik was throwing around? Yeah, I
Yes,
believe that will take us to Blasingdale, if you've ever been there.
Blasingdale, no, never.
Oh, it's, well, a few bits away from the spine of the world, but not much.
Human village, I take it?
A human village with a few gnomes and dwarves.
Ah, well, it seems that would be our next destination. If Belak went there, that may well be where the portal is.
Well, it's, I guess, mythicized that Blasingdale used to be, well, a dwarven outer post. Oh, well, not quite. A place where non-dwarves would come to trade with the dwarves that lived in the mountains. A place for them to bring their arms and sell their goods.
Well,
Well, at least before the dwarves closed their gates and disappeared.
this would make sense. If Rorik is right, they had a forge which could craft weapons, the likes of which you would not believe. Well, I think for tonight, perhaps it is best that all get a good rest, and in the morning we will decide how to, how to best vacate your grove, finally.
Yes, as much as I've enjoyed some of your company here, I would like to get back to the, well, daily trudge. We'll have to make our own for a while here, and it's going to mean needing more of our space to ourselves.
Well, of course, and I hope you and yours have been doing well since, since Lady Selune's visit.
Ah, we will manage.
Good, good, I have no doubt. You're a fearsome combatant, and no doubt your kin are much the same.
Yes, well, it seems thanks to your goddess and our new patron that we can finally rest easy, knowing we won't go mad from old age.
Ah, no, it seems, Lady Selune did her part, and the Lady Eldath has chosen to linger in your grove and evidently protect you from, whatever it is that draws this madness out in your old age.
Well, and to that effect, I simply ask you this. Since this is now our sacred grove, I ask that you forget about this place. Never come back here, and never tell anyone of it. If we are to, well, defend it, it's better defended the less people know about it.
Well, I would give you my word on that, of course, and while I cannot vouch with full certainty for all of my companions, I would say they are all an honorable sort. I wouldn't be concerned. Even if they did wish to say something, I believe they're all going quite different places in life, and they just happen to be following in my trail for the moment.
And Gravela says, I still can't believe that we've made our way here.
Hmm. Uh, you have no idea, Kavan says as he simply walks back around and heads back toward camp. And as he's doing so, he's thinking on memories of the Underdark and of much darker days, indeed, in the literal sense, as well as the metaphorical. And he remembers rushing through a tunnel for days, dodging various dangers, terrible beasts, and then finally sunlight for the first time and being blinded. And the next thing he knows, he's out of his memory, and well, he's back here. And he thinks, I can't believe I've come all this way. He echoes the words.
Um, as Kavan reminisces about his underground experiences, he sees a light ahead, the light of camp appear. And as you make it back to camp, it seems people are setting in, with Meepo creating some sort of makeshift tent over Calcrix. Broma sort of roughnecking it at the bottom of a tree. Um, Rourke seems to have been, well,
It looks like fallen asleep next to a pile of books away from the campfire. And Dorian sits down finally and he says, "Hmm, you know, this reminds me of the time I used to spend out in the woods."
It is, in a way, more comfortable than an inn, I find. A rare opportunity I have to even stay at one.
Well, it's definitely a livelier and diverse crowd than you'd see at an inn. Not every day you see kobolds, goblins, and dragons and bugbears at your inn. Unless, well, you're going to inns I haven't heard of.
Yes, what is the human saying? A rogue, a priest, a bugbear, shall I say, a shapeshifter, a kobold, a dragon, and a dwarf walk into a bar.
I don't think I've heard that one.
And I don't wish to imagine the rest of the words. I'm pleased with myself that I remembered that much. Um, that said, we have a plan of sorts. I have Belak's trail in a way, and we believe he may be heading the same direction as, the scroll which Rorik has indicates, and it leads to a small village up near the spine of the world, a human village mostly. It may be very close to wherever this dwarven redoubt has been closed off.
Hmm,
And
interesting.
yes, it may be within that the portal is to be found.
A portal, you say? To where?
I know not. Rorik seems to think it would lead to the realm of Moradin, but my lady seems rather alarmed by it for that. Moradin is a dwarven god, but not an evil one.
Hmm. If your goddess fears something, and we mean to move towards it,
Yeah, well, yes. What she can do here in our realm is rather limited. If she comes here in presence, it's very taxing. You might be surprised. That's why she has people like myself.
hmm. Well, I can't say I'm not concerned now. I do know that we're probably in good company, with good support and, well, good spirits.
Well, I would of course leave each of you to choose your own destinies. I have an interest in going with Rurik, but all of you are naturally free to go. There's nowhere but open land to travel in every direction, save of course the village.
Dorian says, "Hmm. Well, that bastard did take my money, and he still owes me a piece of commissioned armor and equipment. So I guess I have to follow him."
Oh, while you do that, if you so wish, uh, take these with you back to town. They may help. And Kavan reaches into his cloak to fetch that little pouch of gemstones and gold that was given to him a short time ago, and he tosses it over to Florian or Dorian.
Dorian takes it
Mm. Uh,
happily.
Yes, this is if that will help you buy your armor, then by all means, you've more than earned your keep, I should say.
And Dorian says, "I'll take it, but I was promised dwarven armor, so it looks like I might just be following you."
Oh well, that's a very nice con. But you keep it nevertheless. And
he says, I'll be sure to split it with Sheldon. And make sure Grovelos gets some spending money. He's, well, been anything but at least helpful, yeah.
yes, and more than patient. Wherever we should each wish to go, I think we should leave their grove by morning's light. I don't wish to draw any more attention to them, especially now that this place is sacred to him and his kin.
Agreed. And at that, Broma walks up to you and says,
It is time. It has been a good journey, but I believe I am needed back in my tribe.
And I believe that as well, Broma. Your people could not ask for a stronger or more valiant protector, and, well, it was an honor to fight at your side.
As yours, you are tiny, well, smaller than us, but it is clear you do something, I don't know, with your voice, and it at least is more helpful than me sometimes. I do not know what powers are given to you, but they seem strong and make you maybe just as good leader as Broma.
Well, I hope you can help to bring peace between the tribes. It seems to me that there's been enough bloodshed in the Citadel throughout the ages. Perhaps it's time for that old fortress to serve a better purpose.
Yes, this I agree.
Hmm.
Farewell.
Yes, and travel safely. Stay away from the village.
Yes, we will do so.
and Broma takes Creamac, and they head off.
And with that, Kavan
I'd say
says,
that's a good place to call it. Yeah.
yes, Kavan says that's another two down. How many more to solve?
I think that is up to you. It seems your traveling party is a lot lighter now, with just what Sheldon, Dorian, Meepo, Calcrix, and Rurik.
Yes, and was actually pretty interested to see where we were going next. So I guess we're gonna find that out next week.
Yeah, I uh, I have stuff prepared, but I want to make sure that when you get there, you hit the ground running. So you know. Also, I'm very satisfied with the 4 hours or 3.5 hours we played so far.
Absolutely, and we got a little action in there. We got well, me being very not so skilled negotiator, but fortunately I had a bugbear and a kobold with me who could do better. And
I mean, how many can say they've bartered with a dragon and
yeah,
come out of it ahead?
right, or with my head, and and I got some cool new armor with a cool new picture, so I can't beat tonight. It was also a lot of really fun role playing, as usual. Pretty role playing, storytelling heavy campaign you run, and I really enjoy it. And I've heard from the
Thank you, thank
viewers
you.
that so do they.
Excellent, awesome. Yeah, this is me connecting the dots, trying to make essentially the Yawning Portal a cohesive story. Let's put it all together. Let's really, hammer on those strengths, and let's find what's at the bottom of that gate. Where is Belak headed?
Right, and I'm really enjoying it. I know, well, I've never read the book, but yeah, I imagine it's more satisfying as a GM to tell the story of how things connect, what happens between, rather than just saying you travel from one place to the next, and
Precisely.
yeah,
100%.
yes, and getting to tell a bit of a closing story for some of the characters we've been traveling with. That's been a lot of fun too. I'm sorry to see some of them go.
They have their places to go, and I guess I'll just say this without destroying any of the mystery. You know, they something they do, after this, the things they get up to could end up having an impact later down the line. So, we'll see what happens to them and see if they rejoin the story. But if not, then at least see what kind of business they've been up to, right? And reflected upon the world.
Absolutely, and I won't lie. Dorian and Children are great, but I'm going to miss Broma and
Yeah,
and that scythe. What a hit! Wow.
she's yeah, she's kind of the back line in terms of the goblins war chest. So uh we'll see where
well,
that goes.
anything you would like to say to anyone watching now or later on before I close this out?
Just that, thank you for staying with us and thank you for, keeping on this adventure. Let's see where it goes. I hope to get a little bit more role play in before we close it out. But also, I really want the next couple sections to be about um not to give it away, but about the tough underground uh areas that where these dungeons, right? I want to make these dungeons come alive. So hopefully, not just role play, but also some great combat, some great storytelling through just environment setting.
Sure, I look forward to it. If the little trap room tonight was any of an indication, well, there should be some pretty interesting things in there. I
I
re-
hope so.
I really had no idea what to do except tell Broma to break it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's that's kind of what you have to do. Sometimes you go in uh and that's why they have parties like they do, right? They have the barbarian up front, smash first, ask questions later. And sometimes, you really need a wizard there. You need someone to, really break down the situation and come in with a precise strike. And
and
that piece of torch tech today was just right on the money.
yeah, I was thinking, what can I do about this? What can I do? Because I don't think I can keep up. And then I realized I got torches in my inventory, and there it was.
Yep.
um,
And made the crucial difference too between an extended fight and one that really, was able to resolve quickly.
well, I will close this out, and I'll let you know, GM, when that's all finished, and that will be it.
All right, great. I'll be right back.
And everyone, that has been GM Tang with more of Tales from the Yawning Portal. Tonight was, I think, a great session. We got in some fighting, we got in a little bit of dungeon crawling, we got in a lot of role playing, lots of meaningful storytelling here, which was really fantastic. And I hope you guys are enjoying this one because I sure enjoy my sessions with GM Tang. And tomorrow, it's not 100%, but tomorrow evening we might be back with GM Tang for Curse of Strahd, which is a decidedly different story, but could be a lot of fun. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, as always, for supporting the cause of chronically ill and disabled gamers. Whether you are one yourself or whether you are simply a viewer who is helping our channel out by watching, by hitting that like button. As always, we are non monetized, but we try and get the word out about games which might be accessible and enjoyable to people who have restrictions in their lives, like the chronically ill and the disabled. and that's why I've been streaming so much of tabletop campaigning
All right.
online with people like GM Tang. So that said, you guys, that's it for tonight. I hope you all have a great one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of each other until tomorrow.